Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FooTea Fantasy podcast, where we talk about football and FPL over a cup of tea. I am your host Shouvik, and I'm joined by your co-host Shourav. Shourav, how was the weekend for you? You seemed so unbelievably busy this last few days.
Yeah, it has been quite busy, but the weekend was fun in terms of football, and yeah, not so fun in terms of FPL.
Yeah, that definitely it was. So going on to football, let's move on to it. How did your team do in FPL? Because it seemed like a very low-scoring week, game week 4, and despite the third highest number ever of wildcards being active, uh, lots of managers had some shockingly low scores. So you also had your wildcard chip activated last week. So why don't you take us through your team and how you did?
I activated my wild card, but I didn't have a shockingly low score only because I captained Haaland. And other than Haaland, there was only just one return from D, and that's it. And it was blanks all over. So it was 46 points in total, which was below the average for the uh, first time this season. And yeah, uh, the rank drop, I wouldn't mind it because yeah, it's the ranks are more volatile at this time of the season. But yeah, the blanks were unexpected. I mean, the Liverpool game, the uh, Man City game. I mean, apart from Haaland, the rest,
Yeah.
The Lewis sub and everything, it didn't go according to plan. But this was kind of expected, mostly because this is the post international break syndrome, kindly
Yes.
the kind of thing that we have seen in previous seasons as well. So yeah,
Yeah. Post international break weeks historically have always been shockers. They've given us the most shocking game weeks in the past as well. So yeah, and yeah, I mean a lot of blanks, as you said. No clean sheets from Liverpool. No clean sheet from Crystal Palace, Newcastle. These are popular defenses in the game. Uh, City conceding within 20-22 seconds or so. So yeah, lots of
United kept a
blanks.
clean sheet, weirdly.
Yeah, but nobody has United defense.
Yeah,
So I think if it was last season, I remember all of us started with Onana,
uh,
and we had no clean sheets for the first I think 7-8 game weeks. And
except for the first game, that controversial,
yeah,
which should have been a penalty
yeah.
against Wolves, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So a good memory there. So I remember we all had a Ariola on our bench, giving us points after points, and
Uh,
we were playing Onana, and he was blanking. So yeah. For me also, I think this this game week was, I think I was saved by Raya, uh, because I had blanks in my defense and midfield throughout. I had scores. My defense was a shocker. I had four defenders playing, and they all had a score of one. So four outfield players gave me 4 points, and my four midfielders gave me two each. Which, if you see in isolation, I think that really is a really shocking score. Plus, I had Isak, who went off at halftime with an eye injury. So only Haaland, my
and the
captain.
pet transfer in as well.
Oh yeah, and
That
I try. Oh, we'll talk about that later. That disastrous transfer. May not be disastrous, probably.
yeah.
That's an overstatement because we have probably he'll play this week. But if he doesn't play this week, that's a disastrous transfer. Um, so yeah, one pointer from Isak, Haaland, captain, that saved the day, and Raya 9 pointer came in clutch. So yeah, we'll go into our teams and how they did in detail. Um, So on that note, let's dive into the matches. I think we are excited to talk. This is our uh, podcast's first episode where we are reviewing the game week, and let's get into it. I'm super excited. We had a great week this time. So let's start with the big match of this game week. Sure, the North London derby. You are an Arsenal fan, and this match must have been. must have been quite good for you. So why don't you tell us how what did you make of the match?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I wasn't expecting a clean sheet there because Rice was suspended, Odegaard wasn't there, and yeah, and Tottenham was bad. I mean, they were shooting from distance. They didn't have clinical. I mean, Solanke is a good finisher, but he didn't do much. I mean, this was pretty much the same thing that they did against Newcastle. They were taking shots from outside the box. So the it wasn't a high scoring match like generally the uh, North London derbies, as far as North London
Yeah,
derbies go.
historically
Yeah,
they have been very high scoring. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. So in that way, I thought there would have been no clean sheet, and that's the entire reason I transferred Gabriel out, and he comes with a
50
with a bullet head.
that's
Yeah,
peak FPL for you. That is what
yeah.
FPL is all about.
Yeah, but it was I mean it made me happy. I mean regardless,
Yeah,
because yeah,
your team doing
and
well.
yeah, uh, I mean we knew Tottenham were bad in set pieces. I mean you could clearly see Romero. I mean he was being pushed and he didn't care. He didn't even jump. He didn't even try for
That,
the
that that
ball.
was
He came and got a free header.
that was very shocking because
Yeah.
of all the people in that Spurs team, if you thought there was one fighter who would not be pushed away from a set piece, that would be Romero. And Romero was marking Gabriel. I mean, that I thought was a thought out matchup from Spurs' side, but he was so easily brushed aside. That was so unbelievably shocking.
No, this is quite consistent. I mean, if you look at the previous, I mean, Tottenham's previous seasons, especially Van der Veen and Romero, they're good attackers on the ball. When Tottenham is getting a set piece, they're always in the box. They're good attackers. But in terms of defense, I mean, they don't bother to jump. That's pretty much evident in each and every set pieces.
Yes, yeah. Tottenham, Spurs, they concede a lot of goals from set pieces, and they're poor at set piece. I think we have established that going back from last season to this season as well. The same story. It's interesting that you touched upon Solanke also. Because I thought Solanke out of the Spurs attackers was, if you have to say in a way, the most impressive out of the
Solanke is
in
good.
that non-impressive performance. He was industrious. He was running behind. He was trying to get involved. I was surprised to see how involved he was, given he had already only played one game with this new team, and he was injured for game week 2 and 3. So he was quite involved. If you remember, he had that looping header which almost went in on top of Raya, uh, created something from nothing basically. But apart from that, I think Son was shocking. He was not there in the game. I don't know. I couldn't spot Son on the pitch for periods of time, and he was almost all the time hugging the touchline and was just not in the game. Son had zero influence in that game. So that was shocking. Although I was constantly spotting Pedro Porro, and man, Pedro Porro as a defender, he was inverting like a 10, just like how Rico Lewis does for Man
City.
City. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little different kind of player. I mean, he just hangs around just outside the box and then he'll make those runs in. And if somebody can find that good pass, Pedro Porro is always there. And
Yep.
just like that goal he got in game week 1 against Leicester, he's
The
just
header.
hanging around outside the box and waiting for somebody to make a pass, make a cross, and he'll make that run. So it was scary to watch Pedro Porro not owning him that much, but otherwise, Spurs. What did you make of Arsenal, their defense and their play, how they set up? What did you make of that?
Yeah, so Arsenal, I mean, defense-wise, Saliba and Gabriel, I mean, there's not much to talk about. We have seen them for the past few seasons. Just that Timber was especially impressive. I mean, we didn't expect Timber getting a chance at left back after a full season of injury. He was good. He was aggressive. He inverted all that was expected from him. All that was expected from Zinchenko, along with the defensive duties. So if he stays injury free, that could be a good spot with him and Calafiori.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Califury
side is
will further strengthen this defense. Timber, I thought, was borderline aggressive. He could have had a second yellow
yeah.
a couple of times. I mean, he was lucky. But having said that, he was very good. I think till the time Johnson was on the pitch, he had his work cut out. But as soon as Odegaard came in,
Yeah.
the game changed. Johnson was, keeping Arsenal on their toes at least. That
Mhm.
pressure was there, although they were not making anything out of it. But as soon as Johnson went off the pitch and Odegaard came in, Timber became free, and their defense
Yeah.
was significantly less loaded. And that's when they started that little waves of attack, and then got the corner, got the goal. Although
Yeah.
Arsenal, I'd say, I don't know how you saw the game, but I thought initially um they were very defensive, and Spurs were attacking in waves and numbers. And through the entire match, they were sitting deep. Even the starting of the second half, they were sitting deep, allowing Spurs to come at them, and probably wanted to counter them.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's yeah. Speaking of the attack, I mean the missing piece you could obviously see that Odegaard creates a
that's
lot of influence in attack.
big
He
miss.
yeah
Yeah,
he he drops deep. He does the dirty work, and his long balls are amazing. I mean, you could remember that pass to Havertz against Chelsea, or
yeah,
that pass to Trossard against Brighton. I mean, Odegaard is a magician. So Odegaard, White, and Saka, they essentially form this triangle, which uh, which was in Liverpool, which you could relate to Hendo, Trent, and Salah.
yes,
So that triangle is very crucial to the attack, because whenever Odegaard or Saka interplays, they release White, and White drives the ball into the box, and that creates a lot of chance for Havertz or anyone who's on the left wing. Now that didn't happen. Even Odegaard by himself creates a lot of chances for Saka. The Brighton match was pretty evident. Saka was through on goal, I think, for two chances
and
which
that
he
was
could have
after
scored.
they went down to 10 men.
Yeah,
He did that after they went down 10 men. I agree. Odegaard is the creative machine in that team, and without him, as you said, he's the tip of the triangle. And White and Saka can't link up if Odegaard is not playing them in, or he's not taking that uh, touches in between.
yeah.
Yeah.
That said, Havertz, I still think is a good fit for that system. He's always hanging around the box. He's a good header of the ball. I mean, he could have scored. It was a good save from
Yeah.
Vicario.
I think both the goalkeepers had a good game in general.
Yeah.
What do you think? Did you like Havertz up top? Because I expected Havertz to come back into the midfield, and I thought Trossard will play the false nine role. When I saw the lineup, I thought that is how they're going to line up. But I was surprised to see that Trossard dropped into the midfield. Martinelli stayed on the left wing, and Havertz retained his striker. Although he was a little withdrawn, he was not as advanced as when Odegaard is there, but he was playing the number nine role. So,
Yeah,
wha-
he
wha-
will play. I'm not concerned about Havertz. So even if Jesus starts as the number nine and Havertz as the eight, they will interplay. I mean, they will interchange. So Jesus is a workhorse. He always drops deep, dribbles past two to three players, and creates that chance. Havertz, on the other hand, sees that opportunity, makes the run into the box. So it could be Havertz either assisting or scoring a goal. So Havertz is always inside the box in crucial moments. So that's what I took from the preseason, the end of the last season, and seeing him play this for the first 3 4 weeks.
so, since we are on Arsenal, going into this week, now this week you have Manchester City. Do you think Havertz stays in the nine, or do you think he drops back to the midfield, or do you think Rice can take up the Odegaard position? How do you think Arsenal is going to set up?
So I think it would be Rice and uh, Party in that pivot. Odegaard's position might be taken by Trossard, but Havertz still maintaining that, because Arteta needs that physicality up top. I mean, you tend to see Diaz and I mean, City's defender Diaz, Stones, Akanji. They're quite physical players, and sometimes they they tend to be, let's say, making mistakes or which we have seen.
Yeah,
So Havertz can, I mean, with a person with that height or player with that height or physicality is required in that position, and Arteta always uses that.
yeah, he does. And City's defense has been leaking. You're absolutely right. Again, we have seen against Ipswich, against Brentford, and last season, I think everybody saw they were
Yeah,
constantly giving away at least that one goal and not keeping a
one
clean
goal,
sheet.
yeah,
Yeah, they give up that one goal from somewhere. So that is true of City, and I think Arsenal will get a chance uh, on Sunday as well. So let's see how. I think I have a feeling we might see Rice in the Odegaard position. I don't know. Uh, Maybe because it's City. We saw this thought comes from what Arteta did at City last time, and he just closed shop and he sat down. He said, "I'll take a draw away from this match." And I think after winning the North London derby, going into these two matches, the North London derby and against City, I think Arteta, if you told any Arsenal fan maybe that you're getting 4 points out of these two games, you'd probably say, okay, that's not bad.
yeah.
So, and
It will
especially with Odegaard's absence, I think he knows that there's he's not at his strongest Arsenal, so he might play a pivot of Partey and Jorginho, and might maybe put Rice as the third midfield uh, guy up ahead, or maybe he plays the same way he did at Spurs. So let's see. I think that will be an interesting thing to see. I think the Atlanta game today. So we are recording this on a Thursday night in India at about 10:30 in the night. So we still don't have the lineups, but I think the Atlanta game will also give us an idea how Arteta is going to line up with Rice. So great. I mean, I think that's all we have covered from Spurs and Arsenal. Let's move on to the another shocker of this weekend. Nottingham Forest beating Liverpool at their home. I mean, who saw that coming? What do you think? Did you see that coming even post international break? Uh,
absolutely not. I mean, playing at Anfield is a nightmare for even Arsenal and City. I mean, they get beaten. Play and if for coming with a win with a clean sheet, that's next to impossible.
I think just in the introductory pod we were talking about Arne Slot
Yeah,
and
the
his
slot.
start. Yeah,
I mean that was the that was
yeah.
how the irony. Yeah,
Yeah, the irony of it. I mean, we're just talking about that, and I told you it's one thing to start well, and another to just keep continuing this momentum, and that is where I think Premier League is a little bit more challenging. You see how Nuno actually outsmarted him. This game was purely won on tactical
yeah,
supremacy, if you can say, of Nuno over Slot. Not saying Slot is a, a poor manager, so there's something to be concerned about, but this is the learning curve of every PL manager who comes for the first season at the Premier League. And I think Nuno was brilliant with his how Nottingham Forest set up and the changes that he made after McAllister was taken off and to bring in Hudson Odoi and Elanga uh,
yeah,
to beat them on the pace. That absolutely worked. Although, having said that, Liverpool did create a lot of chances minus the final ball. I think they all made, even Salah on that day, he's generally a very good decision maker in the box. He's generally he knows what he's doing. But I felt the decision making was not there. Everybody made mistakes. Diaz, Salah, Alexander Arnold, everybody made some poor calls and some poor touches in the box. So that decision making was not there. That's what I thought.
yeah. Now, continuing on the decision making, one thing that struck me was Slot making those changes at 60 minutes. I mean, if you're trying to build momentum, you have players like Diaz and McAllister and Jota. I mean, Jota didn't do much, but there's a momentum going. To Diaz is a good player. You cannot suddenly switch the system when you're at a, I mean, when you're at a deadlock.
Yeah.
So and that changed the entire thing. So he brings Trent to the midfield and puts Bradley at the right back. Now, Bradley is an exceptionally good attacker. I mean, in terms of his age or the team he plays with, and in PL, he is a good attacker. But in defense, he was very poor. So there were two balls that were fed to Hudson Odoi on the left wing. He could have intercepted those two balls. He didn't. He waited for Hudson Odoi to get the touch, and
Yeah.
then he tried uh, tackling him. And obviously, I mean, Cho is a very good dribbler.
And I
And
think
the,
you could see his inexperience come in because
uh,
even watching from home, we all knew Hudson Odoi gets the ball on the left wing, cuts in, shoots with his right. And if you see Allison's reaction after the goal went in, that's what he was showing Bradley his right leg. It was like we all know he's going to cut in, and you allowed him to cut in and shoot, and that's
yeah,
inexperience of Bradley. I thought bringing back Bradley is a good option in terms of attacking. If you're losing 1-0 by that time, you want more attack, or if you're very comfortable with 2-0, 3-0, like it has been previously when he brought Bradley on. Diaz, you're right, he was electric. He was not giving the finishing touches by that time, but he was very lively in the game, very involved in
mm,
the game,
yeah,
man. And I think Arne Slot has somehow fixated on making these substitutions at 60 and 60
exactly.
minutes. He doesn't,
That's
I mean, last three games didn't give us any idea of what he's thinking because all three games he was leading. This game, 60 minutes, I think 59th it was, and three substitutions. I thought that was like, okay, I have planned my substitutions at 60, and no matter the state of the game, I'm going to do it. That was a little concerning, I thought.
yeah. That in fact felt like some of the decisions we would make in FPL. I mean, we would make a transfer, think about it 2 games prior, and then make it. It felt like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, yeah, another thing is Slot used to how Slot plays is that he keeps the striker, the number nine role, and makes him as a make him drop deep so that his right and left wingers could go up top. I mean, if Jota is very good on the ball. If Jota couldn't do that role, he could have brought in Gakpo instead of Jota, and that would have given him physicality in the box. So it would enable Salah, Trent, or Diaz, or anyone, Robertson or Semikas, to cross the ball. So there would be like Diaz, Soboslai, and Gakpo attacking the ball in the air. So
that's
yeah,
definitely.
some of them. So even his preseason quotes that he prefers Kakpo on the left wing. I
Yeah, yeah.
think they were pre-planned moves, and it
Yes,
didn't make a lot of sense.
yes, you're right, absolutely right. I mean, he has said once that he sees Gakpo as a left winger, and he sees Jota as a nine, and we never saw Klopp making such fixations to say that. I mean, he played them all throughout the front three. Uh, but yeah, so these things. As a Diaz owner in your own team, are you a little worried with this trend of getting them off at six because you were incredibly lucky that Luis Diaz
Uh,
decided to walk slowly and not run off like Diogo Jota did. So you got two extra points for that. But is this a concern now for going forward?
so you bring in any Liverpool attacker apart from Salah, it has always been a concern for the past. I mean, what, like 10, 20 season or whatever. So any being a 7.5 attacker, I know he will play like 60 to 65 minutes, but those, if my main concern was the start. Now, if he starts those games, now those 60 to 65 minutes could do very well, like he did in the past three games. Now, the concern part came in yesterday when Sloth said that he would have
Yeah,
played Gakpo in the Forest game.
yes, I
Now,
read that, and that's not very encouraging for a Diaz owner.
So I could only hope for Diaz starting the next game because Gakpo played most of the minutes yesterday, and yeah,
But
nah, he's
on the flip side of it, Gakpo was brilliant. For the on the Champions League at Milan, I think he was Liverpool's best player. He didn't get, I think, a goal, but he was electric. He was, but so is Diaz, I
he
think.
got the assist, I believe, for the Soboslai goal.
He might have, but he was great. I mean, the performance was very good.
Gakpo was always an incredible player. I mean, he showed that in Euros. He showed that in Blitz in the previous season. Whenever he was on, I mean, he was far better than Darwin Núñez. So
Yeah, great. So few couple of observations that I made on that game from Forest's side is, I think Anderson, not for FPL, but in general, has been a very good signing. Good work rate. He was present everywhere on the pitch, Anderson. So good signing from Newcastle. Ola Aina and Alex Morino, for both are 4.4 in the FPL game. Both played well. I don't see uh, them losing their place as of now. Although there's Nico Williams sitting right there, but yeah, good defensive display, and 4.4 defenders from a good defensive team this season. So something to keep your eye on, I think, going ahead. Talking of defenses again, Manchester City conceding within 22 seconds to Brentford. I mean, your Visa owners had a roller coaster of a ride.
yeah,
Got a goal, and then Kovacic ended that dream of continuing any such run further. I think Thomas Frank has
two
come.
months.
Yeah, he came on and he said he's out for 2 months. So what do you think? What do you think of Brentford now that Visa is injured? Do you think it affects the Mbomo pick in some way, or does it? In general, let's talk about the general setup of the Brentford team in terms of the real life football. How does this affect Brentford? What are your thoughts?
So Brentford, so how Frank made the system is that it's not dependent on a single player. I mean,
Yeah,
we thought
I
that
agree.
Tony was undroppable. I mean,
Irreplaceable.
Tony was
Yeah,
essential. Yeah,
yeah.
irreplaceable, and he is replaced. I mean, even when he was banned, Wissa and Mpumo, yeah, I mean, they did great.
They
He
did
was
better
with
than I think when he came back, their goals fell off last season, if you remember.
the goals fell off, yeah, but Tony's performance didn't.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it was not essentially on dependent on Tony, but the system will survive. Uh, Visa is a good player, uh, but I think the gap that he left can be filled by the combination of Lewis Porter or Sade. One good player that they brought in was Carvalho. I mean, he was
From
great in
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And he
for
had an
Liverpool this
excellent
preseason.
preseason. Yeah, if somebody followed the preseason, you would know Carvalho. He had a great preseason. And that's what drove his value up in the transfer market as well.
Yeah, and he's trigger happy. So it's not like he just dribbles and then there's no final product. He scores goals. So that's good. And Embumo especially is a good set piece taker. So they have good headers of the ball, and so that's I'd rather. I mean, if Embumo was injured, it would have affected the system more rather than Visa. I mean, that's what my initial assumption is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Ambumo, I think, is more crucial to that team
Yeah,
because he's the one you feel who is joining the defense and midfield to the attack. He's the one who's carrying the balls right through the field. So yeah, I agree on that. Although I think we'll have to wait and see on Brentford who takes that Visa position, Carvalho or Sade. I think if we look at their lineup in the Carabao Cup they played last night, both of them started. Carvalho scored a overhead
yeah.
kick
It was a
goal.
great bicycle kick,
Yeah, bicycle
and
kick.
he had two assists as well.
Yeah, so. Good performance from Carvalho, although Shade was impressive as well. If you saw the game, the entire
Yeah.
game, Shade was very impressive. So that's where we are at Brentford. I think 1 or 2 game weeks, and you'll know who's starting. And in terms of FPL, if that's Carvalho or Shade, either, I think that's value buy right there. 5 million for Carvalho, Shade 5.4. Anybody can look, and Brentford have great fixtures from 6 onwards. So. You can see that. Also, one another observation that I had was Van der Berg started,
Yeah.
4.0 million asset.
Vanderberg start.
Yeah, and but again, there's always a but with cheap assets. They set up a back five against City, and maybe they'll set up a back five against Spurs. Who knows? We'll see the lineup. But will he will he play when they set up back four again? I don't know. Something to be seen. Uh,
The only, I mean, not a serious thing, but I only hope that Thomas Frank don't doesn't play Mbumo up top, because that, I think the number 9 is cursed. It was Tony, then it was Thiago got injured, then it's
with
Wissa, and
yeah.
yeah, I can't have an Mbumo
Do you think
injury now.
do you think Mbumo starts up top? Do you think that happens?
No, he doesn't stop. He's always on the right.
Yeah.
He is an inside forward regardless.
And I think with Sade there, because Sade plays that position, he plays on the left and on the center. He can play both positions equally well. So I think as long as Sade is there, uh, there is considerably less chances I think that Mbemo plays. But either ways, I think Mbemo, even if he plays as a nine, he will drop back and he will come back and shoot as an inside forward. That's his natural instinct. That's what I think. Great. So and City, I'll ask you just couple of things on City. What do you make of Rico Lewis? Because he's in your team as well. I didn't go for Rico Lewis because I thought he was a very risky pick. We saw that this game week, 45-minute sub. But again, Champions League he played in a strong lineup.
The
He
full
played,
90 minutes.
yeah, and he played for 90 minutes in a strong lineup. Walker was on the bench, didn't come on. What do you think happens this game week, and what do you think happens with Rico Lewis going forward? What is your view?
So there are a couple of, pieces that has to fall for Rico Lewis to perform well. First of all, KDB being injured brings in Foden and Gundogan in the picture.
Oh yeah, so
So
that is a news. I think KDB got injured first half in the Champions League game.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, please go on. How does that also change? We'll discuss.
Okay. So what for the first 3 game weeks where we saw Rico Lewis bombarding the box, now that position will be taken by Gundogan if Gundogan starts playing. So there are hints of this Gundogan positioning from the Euro Cup in Germany uh, and his previous season before he left for Barcelona. So he's always there in that 9.5 role where he makes runs into the box, is always the second striker along with Haaland. So that takes up Rico Lewis's space. Now, what Pep makes of it is, if Rico Lewis is not required there, he could make a strong back line with Walker, and he can keep on interchanging Cavadiol and Rico Lewis. So that's what happened in the previous game, and that's what I'm most scared of. If somehow Walker leaves, then Rico Lewis nails that spot. I mean, he may not be that attacking, but a 4.6 asset getting a clean sheet if City keeps it clean. I mean, that's a very good punt. But at the moment, Lewis is my fourth defender that I can rotate with Dean or Greaves. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you make a very important point there that he's your fourth defender, and as you said, if Walker leaves, but Walker's right there. I mean, he's one of the club's captains. So one of the captains, I think KDB, Walker,
And Gundogan is
they're
there.
yeah, Gundogan. And also, as you said, Gundogan takes up that 9.5 role 9.5 10 role where Riku Lewis likes to invert. There's more competition there. Foden is back. We just saw Foden play
Yeah,
45 minutes. So Foden comes back.
Rodri is there.
Rodri, I'll still say less so because he can be your holding midfielder. You remember when Gundogan, before Gundogan left City, uh, Rodri was playing as a six. It's only when
Hmm.
Gundogan left, Rodri
He
moved,
started
yeah,
going into the box, yeah,
going into the
more.
box. So I think Rico Lewis inverting, I don't see the space there anymore, especially with Foden back, Gundogan there, as you said. And now that Grealish is playing regularly, we have seen when Grealish holds with, Guardiola tends to invert. And I don't know. I think Rico Lewis is a very, very risky pick, and that it could be a gold mine. I mean, don't get me wrong, but if Pep decides that there are too many games and I need to protect Walker, and I play Rico Lewis on in the easier games, that's gold mine right there. You get uh, Walker playing the tough games against Arsenal, Newcastle, maybe some
Hmm,
other
yeah,
Liverpool, and then he puts Rico Lewis against Ipswich, Southampton, Crystal
that's what
Palace.
we want.
Yeah, and that then it's you are an expert. You'll be a visionary to get Rico Lewis in. So it could work out either way, I think. But yeah, it's necessary to have him as your fourth defender, and not the third. Then you are down to your bare bones if you have Rico Lewis as a third defender. Yeah. So I think that covers City and Brentford for us. Let's move on. You'd want to go to you'd want to talk about
Okay,
United once.
yeah, yeah, we can cover United, but it's not a very, won't be a lengthy discussion. So it was against Southampton. Obviously, it was more of three points that we were expecting. Um, on the in the first half, it was mostly Southampton. It was very poor performance by Dallo. I mean, he left a lot of space for Southampton to attack. He gave away a penalty, and Onana luckily saved
Yes,
it. I mean, it was a
yes.
good save, but it was
Yeah.
a lucky
I
penalty
I
save.
th- I think 3-0 doesn't reflect how they played for the first 20-25 minutes. They were completely on top, and then the penalty save, and I think the match just turns on its head.
Yeah, Southampton are very leaky. They don't have that confidence in the box. In the past, in the last game, we saw Southampton trying to play out from the back. Uh, Ramsdale, I think the very reason we let go of him was because of his, uh, I mean, kind of sketchy decision making. I mean,
Yes.
he's a good shot stopper, but is not. I mean, Southampton's backline is not Gabriel and Saliba. They're not press resistance, and that's the reason they have been conceding goals against Brentford. The same thing happened with United, and yeah, I think it will continue if you have uh, if you have that backline. Also, there's one thing in United's attack. I mean, Rashford's goal was excellent, but Xerxes, he doesn't have that composure. I mean, I think he was what 40 million buy for a player of that. I mean, price. He doesn't have that composure. I would trust Hoyland more over him.
But
Xerxes,
he's young. I mean, you have to give him, a little bit of slack. He's quite young. He'll develop and probably get better. I mean, he has the potential. If you see, he was lively. He has the potential. But yeah, the finishing and the composure is not there. That's quite evident. But he can improve. He has potential.
yeah. I mean, if Ten Hag suddenly decides to play, let's say, Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford, and Bruno as the front four, that would make a lot more sense than having Xerxes up top at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And since you talked about Rashford, he finally broke his drought and got a goal, and then followed it up with two more goals in Carabao Cup. Do you think
Carabao.
he has his mojo back, and do you think he might become an option? 6.9 million in the game.
At 6.9, no. I mean, Rashford is a streaky player. He can have those purple patches, but as a FPL option, I wouldn't go there because I don't see United scoring a lot of goals. I mean, apart from Southampton. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So same impression for me also. I think we need to see more. Southampton, I think, has have been leaky, so can't take too much away from this game.
but irrespective, Ahmad was a good player. Ahmad is uh, was excellent in the past few games. Was good in this game. Had a lot of, uh, I mean, successful dribbles. He was by far United's best player on the pitch.
But crazy to think that Garnacho doesn't start. I mean, he has looked
Yeah,
so lively, and for a player of Garnacho's caliber, I can't wrap my head around the fact that he's not starting for this United team who need wi- goals at this point. So yeah, let's see what Ten Hag does. So
now now I think I mean we covered Arsenal, Liverpool, United, City. Now it's on to the team in the Conference League. So yeah, talk to us about Chelsea
I hope this
and how
doesn't
they
become.
scrapped that win.
Yeah, I hope this Conference League doesn't become a theme of this podcast. You know, we refer to Chelsea as the Conference League team all the time. Anyways, Chelsea, I think first half it was unwatchable. Uh, Typical Chelsea performance. I thought they were lost for ideas. I don't know. First half I didn't see a Maresca ball, Maresca system, nothing. I think it was so random, so bad. Chelsea didn't win once, even one second ball. Every single second ball was won by Bournemouth. And how it finished nil-nil in the first half, I will never know. Bournemouth were very wasteful. They missed the penalty. Ivan Listen, he needs some confidence after that. A new signing, if he scored that, it would have done him a world of good. But it was a good save by Sanchez. And it was a good performance from Sanchez. Chelsea, however bad they were, Sanchez put in a shift. I think it was long due. Uh, he has been with Chelsea for more than a season now, and I think this is one good performance that I can now remember from Sanchez. But uh, yeah, so good performance by Sanchez. First half was very bad, and second half, I think the superstar boy came in and changed the game. Jadon Sancho, what a player! Really good control. I mean, he overshadowed Cole Palmer or whoever you name it. I mean, he was the best player on the pitch. Uh, on Palmer, he was not there in the game. He didn't have a single shot or a single penalty area touch, I think, in this game. So that was a concerning performance from Cole Palmer if you're an owner in FPL. And even if as a Chelsea fan, I think I can just hope that this is a one-off performance from Cole Palmer. But Jadon Sancho, I think he starts now. He was comfortably the best player. And Kunku, I've been saying this. I think in our chats, I've
Yeah,
said this to you so many times. I don't know why Jackson plays up top when we have Nkunku sitting in the bench. He's a number nine. He has played number nine for his previous clubs, and you can see that how good he is at finishing. I mean, Jadon Sancho made one chance for him, and he finished it off in the 89th minute or so. And Jackson had chances. Jackson had bigger chances than this throughout the match, and he skied all of them.
that's why
Uh,
I haven't have him in my team.
yeah, I know how frustrated you are getting with him. Because, there was a chance in first half. If I mean, it was a clearly one first touch shot, and he decided to take one touch and then try to shoot, and the defender could come around. Uh, he doesn't have that, natural strikers. What do we call them? Predators. He doesn't have that.
No, he's not a predator. I mean, but yeah, but Jackson gets a lot of chances, and that's what I hope for. I mean, it could be a easy tap in or him diving for a header. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I don't want a clinical finish from him.
No, Jackson does make chance. His runs are good. We are frustrated with him because he doesn't finish it, right? You even you have selected him, and we watch the games. We know he makes those good runs. he links up well with the teammates, Cole Palmer or anybody. He's a good link up player, and he gets into good positions. Only if he could improve his finishing, I think he would be a good player. But at this point, I think Nkunku is way better, and you can just put Nkunku at nine, and the amount of chances that this team is creating with the kind of creative midfield that we have on our bench and on the field right now, Neto, Sancho, Palmer. I think if you put a Nkunku in there, you get more goals than Jackson. That is what I
Yeah,
think.
and also Nkunku is a good header of the ball. I mean, like we previously talked about. So we have good crosses. Palmer, Neto, they're good. They're good crosses. So
Yeah.
it. I mean, there are ways to feed Nkunku, but yeah, Maresca decides not to go with that. I mean, even he could play a Nkunku Jackson 10-9 system. I
But
think
then
what
you can't play
State
Palmer. If you play 10 as
Palmer
Nkunku,
would play on the wing. I mean, I think he starts on the wing regardless.
yeah, I think he's starting Madueke there. So let's see what he does. But I think it's a clear swap between Jackson and Nkunku at this point. Maresca is playing Nkunku in Conference League. He could just swap them around. Play Jackson in Conference League and play
Yeah.
Nkunku in Premier League. I think that sorts most of our problems.
No,
Uh,
he could do that after I transfer Jackson out. So yeah,
uh, the sooner he does that, I think the
yeah,
better our chances are for Champions League football, or else I think it's slipping away if we keep pursuing like this. But yeah, let's see what Chelsea does. This was a bad performance, so nothing much to talk on this game. Yeah, I think Bournemouth were good in pressing. Again, they were also quite poor in finishing. So yeah, let's see. Nothing much on this game. Let's quickly run through the rest of the games. Sure, with that, let's quickly touch upon on Aston Villa Everton. Everton again, 2-0 up, 3-2 down. John Duran, what a goal! What a goal! Do you think that gets the goal of the season? Early predictions?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was the week of out of the box wonders. I mean, Shar's goal was a deflection, but Barnes' goal was impressive. But Turan's goal was out of this world. I mean, and no one would have expected
No.
him to take a even shot from that. It reminded me of that Ronaldo free kick. I mean, even the commentators were stunned that
Yeah,
he took that.
but it was a game of two halves. I mean, first half, Everton. Uh, I mean, Aston Villa had lion's share of possession, but they couldn't make anything out of it because Everton were defending very well. Shame that Mikolenko went off. I think he was through illness, no injury there. But first half, Aston Villa looked so leaky. Two counter attacks. I think they could have. DCL could have had another goal. He
Another goal,
missed a header, I think. So
and also he hit a bar. He was through on goal,
yes, I
hit the
forgot
bar.
that.
Another goal, in fact, where he could have taken a shot early, but Konsa
Covered off.
intercepted it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so first two game of two halves, whatever Emery's halftime talk was, it worked. And second half, a different estimate. I think the turning point was taking Onana off and bringing Barkley in. Barkley completely changed the game. For some, I'm not saying Onana is not a good player. He's a good player, but this game, for some reason, it was not working out, and he was making too many mistakes, losing too many balls, duels, and Barkley completely changed the game. And two goals for Watkins. He has opened his account and he looked sharp. He looked sharp in the Champions League match as well. And yeah, I think slowly Watkins is coming up to speed. What we expect from him, even in fantasy.
yeah. Watkins was great. I mean, we all always knew that Watkins was a good finisher. The only concern was his minutes, and it still continues to be. I mean, Duran is an excellent sub for Watkins, but he'll always go off in that 60-65 minutes.
Do you think Duran cracks a place in the starting 11? And if you think he does crack a place, who do you think goes off?
No, I don't think Duran makes the starting 11. So Watkins always starts. I mean, Emery will always start him. Duran comes in as the super sub. I don't. I mean, it's very. I mean, we all want him to start, but he won't. That's the thing. I,
Even if he starts, I think he will not replace Watkins. Watkins is the talisman of that team, and Emery loves him as well. So even if he comes in, I think it will be at the expense of maybe Ramsey or Rogers, either. But even now we see Duran coming in and not Watkins not going off. Even in this Everton game, it was not Watkins who came off. I think it was Ramsey who came off, and Watkins came off around 5 minutes after that for
yeah.
in the other
So
substitution.
there was a period where Duran and Watkins were playing together, and Rogers was pushed to the wing. I
Yeah,
mean that Emery did talk about it very briefly at some point, but I don't think they start together because very soon Bailey will come into picture, Philogene, or Philogene is injured. I'm not sure of that, but
yeah.
there would be people back. So Cash would also come in, so that right wing spot or the wing back spot could be taken. So he doesn't need those two attackers with Rogers in the wing, especially when Rogers, I mean, irrespective of his FPL returns, he is a good player for the team. So they
Yes.
need him
Yeah, yeah,
there.
I completely agree. And wha somehow, sometimes you're a good sub. I mean, we have seen that a lot of times in football. You come as a sub and you can make an impact. Not necessarily you can make the same impact when you're starting. And I don't think Emery would like to break his rhythm at this point. It seems like Duran is enjoying coming off the bench and scoring. So I think that this will continue. So talking of Aston Villa and a wonder goal from Duran, the other wonder goal in the other game, Harvey Barnes won it for Newcastle. I mean, they were really, really poor defensively, especially in the first half. Uh, didn't create much. Their attack still looks like broken strings. They're not connecting with each other. But Barnes comes on and, you know, at the end changes the game. Great goal. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, the game it was pretty, I would say, kind of a stalemate game uh, where the Newcastle players who wasn't creating a lot.
Yeah.
Barnes. So the lineup that Howe puts is not the best starting 11, I would say, for Newcastle. He doesn't play Tonali. He doesn't play Trippier. I mean, these two are exceptional players in their own positions. So,
Even Murphy, I think you can have an argument whether Murphy can should start or Barnes should start because we just saw when Barnes you give Barnes the license to go he can change the game for you.
yeah,
So yeah,
Barnes was.
I saw a lot of Newcastle fans having the opinion that Barnes can start instead of Murphy.
Yeah, Barnes is a good player. I mean, the previous season he was injured most of the time, so that's the reason he couldn't start. But I would definitely pick Barnes over Murphy. He did show his caliber in Leicester, so I think that was the entire reason for his transfer to Newcastle.
Yeah, so I think Wolves were, I think, uh, again, great in terms of attack and very poor in terms of the defense. They could have scored a couple of goals more themselves. The goal that they scored was exceptional as well, right from the training ground, it seemed. Uh, so good performance, I thought, from Wolves. Reasons to be optimistic for them. They don't deserve to be in the bottom three. I don't think so. They just have very difficult,
Horrible start.
yes, difficult fixtures. But I think once the fixtures improve, Wolves will get results. You can see it in how they're playing. That team is they play like a team. I mean, they're really glued together. They understand each other well. They find each other all the time and their counter attack is second to none in the league. I mean, their counter attack is really impressive. It's just their defense that needs some sorting out. At Nouri can't defend. You can play him on the left wing, but
He's a proper He's a proper winger at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think Mosquera has impressed me either. So defensive fragilities for sure, but Wolves will do well. They are not there. They'll not stay bottom three come the end of the season. That's for sure. And say, well, talking of bottom three, apart from Southampton, Leicester City looks like they'll have a hard time staying up. Again, 2-2 with Crystal Palace, but Leicester City, they didn't create much. I think whatever they created, Vardy finished it off and got a goal. Uh, Two goals, again, more down to Crystal Palace's poor defending. And Crystal Palace, I think we have a hangover from the last season. Crystal Palace are not playing well. There seems to be a disconnect there.
Yeah, so they're missing their creative outlet in Olise. He was essential to how Glasner used to play. I mean, Olise would enable Eze space, he would enable Mateta space, he would enable Munoz on the right wing space. So there were a lot of options for them to attack. And now it's missing. And Crystal Palace as a team has been chopping and changing a lot. And I don't trust that. I mean, nobody trusts that where a back line changes, their attackers changes. I mean, bringing new attackers is good, but if there is a change in the entire spine,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it creates a lot of issue.
Yeah, I think you're bang on about the team not being settled. I think Anderson's miss is also a big one because not in terms of defense maybe that much, but he used to play the ball out from the back.
Yeah,
If you remember, he his passing range and ability was good, and playing the ball out from the back. He's a good on the ball. He's a really good defender. And Olise obviously they're missing. Munoz hasn't been the same since Olise left. And preseason they played Kamada on the right. They started the season with Eduard, I think,
yeah.
Eduard on the right. Then Eduard
Then
went,
IU got
went
a few
yeah,
chances.
yeah. And then Ayub and Eduard, I think they both went to Leicester, and now they have Nketiah there, and Kamada is suddenly on the bench, who was playing their preseason. So I think Crystal Palace under Glasner will come good. Glasner is a good manager. We saw that last season. But I think we all expected Crystal Palace to hit it off right from the start. That is not happening. They'll need some more time. And probably game week 9, 10, maybe 11, when they're more settled, probably we'll see a better team. But their defense, I think a lot of people have Henderson, uh, Guehi.
And yeah,
I
Hey
have
Munoz.
Munoz. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
Munoz in my team. But I think come wild card, or if you have already wild carded, I hope you've taken them out. And if you're
Yeah,
going to
Crystal
wild
Palace is
card,
not a good defense at this point.
yes, yes.
Mitchell is attacking, but he's not worth the 4.9 million tag.
Yeah, 4.9 million is too much. I mean, Rico Lewis is less than that, and there's a lot of good defenders less than that. So you have a bunch of options at 4.5 itself. And I think Nottingham Forest is a good replacement if you're looking somewhere
Yeah.
in the market.
Even Ipswich. I mean,
Ipswich, I think Leif
Liv
Davis,
Davis.
yeah, not
Yeah,
for his clean sheets, but for his attacking potential, you can go there.
yeah. The
Uh,
set pieces,
yes.
even he could nick a bonus or two if they keep a clean. So, yeah, there are other good options.
Yeah, and we saw against Fulham when they had that 1-1 draw, Leif Davis was in the bonus and he had the assist for the goal. So uh, yeah, Leif Davis is a good option, very good shout there. So talking of Ipswich, Brighton Ipswich, nil-nil. I think uh, not much to talk there except for that Brighton were unlucky. I thought loads of chances. I don't know how. All credits to Muric for saving that, but I don't know how Mitoma did not score that chance in the first half.
And that was a double save. Yeah,
I don't
excellent
know
double save.
how it happened. Lots of chances. Rutter looked good, lively. Minte got a yellow card, was taken off. Mitoma, again, as I said, should have scored. Brighton played well. One player really caught my eye, and that was unexpected. This will be very unexpected, but Baleba. He was running the show. I mean, best player of Brighton, I thought. Um, every time he was there on the pitch, and I had to look who's this guy, who's run. Look, he's everywhere and making some good passes, good runs, good balls. Very nice, very lively. I think we want to keep an eye on if he can get a little attacking. Uh, Maybe an option. Not now necessarily an FPL option, but want to keep an eye on certainly. Very impressive performance.
Yeah, Baleba is a good upgrade on Milner. So
Yeah. And on the when we have touched upon Brighton, the horror transfer for me, 2 minutes before deadline, and I go for Muniz to João Pedro. So because it was Muniz to João Pedro, I am probably still hopeful because Muniz has definitely lost his spot. Raul Jimenez started and he scored for Fulham in a 1-1 draw versus West Ham. And Muniz started the Carabao Cup, got injured. So I don't even think Muniz is probably available for this weekend. And yeah, João Pedro, man, what do you think, Shura? The reports and everything, do you think he starts?
so he didn't start the Carabao Cup. He was not even in the squad,
Yeah.
but there were reports of him in the training. So there can be, I mean, there's a probability of him starting this game against Forest, but I wouldn't keep my hopes high because I talked about two options previously were in the strike, that was Welbeck and Ferguson is back. So
Mm,
if there is a risk of injury to Joao Pedro, I think Welbeck rotating with Ferguson could work, and also Ruter taking that 10 spot.
yes.
And there is another implication of Ruter taking that 10 spot that I noticed was it affects one of my other pick, that's Minte. So
Yes.
what Ruter tends to do is he prefers the right side,
Mm.
and that pushes Minte to
Right
the
down to
touch
this
line.
touch line. Yes, I saw
Yeah,
that in this game as well. And if you noticed, in the previous
Mitoma coming
games,
in.
yeah, in the previous games, Rutter was actually coming in for Minte uh,
Yeah, yeah.
when the substitutions
He
were
was a sub
happening.
for Minte.
Yes, so he definitely prefers the right. So that is something to keep an eye on because Rutter performing well is not only a threat to João Pedro, it's a threat to Minte as well. And could be very evident as soon as this week because midweek Minte started and played I think 86 minutes or so,
Yeah,
82 or 86 minutes, and that's a concern. I mean, I was a Minte owner, I would be concerned because that's fully rested Rutter, and if João Pedro is back, that's a worrying sign for Minte as well this week. But let's see what happens this weekend. Maybe we'll have more information next weekend. Couple of things that I wanted to talk to you also about a controversial thing that happened in the Crystal Palace match. Not controversial, but a very significant event in terms of FPL was the Mateta penalty. And we all thought Eze was on pens, and we all picked Eze because of his penalty duties. And suddenly, Mateta takes the penalty, and Glasner says that both of them will be sharing. They both are our penalty takers. So, does that reduce Eze's value in your eyes, or do you think he's still a good pick?
yeah. I mean, if given the option to choose between Mateta and Eze, I'll definitely go Mateta. I mean, he's scoring goals. He was in amazing form last season, and as well when he played for France. So I don't think Mateta gives up his penalty. I mean, he has that hunger for goals. So yeah, that does dent Aze's appeal, especially when the team is not performing very well. If they were scoring 2 to 3 goals, Mateta one, Eze two, or I mean Eze scoring one and giving like one assist. So Eze would have been a good option, but yeah, Mateta just edges it because of that.
So, a quick question to you because you have Luis Diaz in your team. Do you take a 60-minute Luis Diaz at 7.5, or do you take a Eze who is probably not on pens at 6.9? Uh, whom would you pick?
60 minutes Luis Diaz, obviously, because he plays for Liverpool and they have that high ceiling of like 4, 5, 6 goals in a match. So there will be some. I mean, Diaz will always be involved if he plays those first 60 to 65 minutes.
Right. So I think that that's all that we wanted to cover in terms of the Game Week 4 review. And I think we have touched upon Champions League and the Carabao Cup in between. If you have, I think we have covered all the notable injuries to most of our players, barring Isak. I think Isak is somebody we did not discuss. A freak
We cannot
injury,
trust.
yeah, a freak
Yeah,
injury, and suddenly he's not coming out in the second half. I was surprised, and now there are. I don't know how true those reports are, but I think Daily Mail it is that's reporting there's a minor toe injury to Isak, and Eddie Howe, being Eddie Howe, we know will know nothing about it before the deadline. What do you do with Isak if you have him?
I mean, Isak is what, like 8.4 if you have 8.4 at the moment.
Yeah,
So Watkins is what, 8.8 or 8.9?
nine,
I
yeah,
think a
8.9,
8.9.
yeah.
So it's a point 0.5. If you have point 0.5 in the bank, I mean, that's a straight upgrade to Watkins. Or else, if you have already, I mean, if you have already wildcarded, you wouldn't have Isak in the first place. But I would bring in someone like a Havertz if I don't plan to wildcard in six, so it can be a placeholder. So Havertz is a good chance of getting some return in the City game, but definitely the fixtures after are incredible. So yeah,
Yeah,
that could be a straight swap.
yeah,
I
I think Isak to Havertz is a good move. If you're not wildcarding, it gives you an route into that Arsenal defense that will anyways target going game week 6. But I think if you're wildcarding, a 1 week punt might be Liam Delap against Southampton. I think Delap has taken the most number of shots of any player for Ipswich. So one to look out for. I think he might go big this weekend. Has the potential to, has the opposition to. The fixture is good. So that's something to keep an eye on.
I
Let's
would
see.
go on that 1 week punt. I would go Vardy or Mateta. I mean, Mateta is playing United at home. I mean,
Uh,
at
that
Selhurst
that's
Park.
that's disrespect to Manchester United. 1 week points again, Manchester United. Yeah, they allow a lot of shots, but yeah, we have just been talking about how poor Crystal Palace's attack has been, and now
But but Mateta could make in a goal
yeah,
as a 1 week punt.
they allow shots. That's for true. I think more than Mateta, what it favors is Eze. Eze likes
Is
to
it as
take
well?
shots, especially outside the box. So, and United allow a ton of shots, and Eze is a good finisher. He doesn't need 10 shots to get one goal. He just needs one or two good chances to nick one in. What do you think of DCL? Vardy, I think you already mentioned, so I'm sure you rate him as a pick. What about DCL? He plays Leicester.
So it's a away game at Leicester, right?
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah,
Everton.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, Everton has been creating a lot, but DCL, yeah, DCL is a good shout. I don't see him scoring a lot, especially this game, because
But he was good against Aston Villa. We just said he could have
Aston Villa is
probably a
leaky.
couple of.
Aston Villa keeps a very high line. You could see him making the run. I mean, he left Konsa, and it was through on goal. And then I mean, he had another chance. So Diesel would have gotten those chance against Aston Villa, but not against Leicester. Leicester, surprisingly, at home, uh, can restrict Everton to a, let's say, to a few goals. I mean, DCL could get chances. McNeil is a good delivery of the. I mean, has a good delivery of the ball. So someone like Tarkowski could benefit from it. But yeah, DCL is very wasteful. That's why I don't want to punt on DCL for just 1 week at Leicester. If it's a long-term hold, I mean, I think DCL is a far better shout than Vardy, because Vardy has that age factor in him, or the risk of injury. I mean, DCL has that too, but DCL is on a streak.
Yeah, I think long term it's DCL. If absolutely 1 week, I think Vardy is an option, but not long term. Vardy is a risk going long term. That's I think the summary of it. I think we covered all the Cup and Champions League matches. Liverpool won their match at Milan. Aston Villa were dominant winners at Young Boys, a 3-0 result. City were held to a 0-0, and for a change, we have seen Haaland
Haaland.
blank. Uh, but from the major takeaway from that, I think, is Foden coming back and KDB injury. I think that is something you have to keep your eye on, given the pressures that are coming up and how City set up against Arsenal. KDB injury could be a blow to City. So I think that's an Arsenal play today. So that will be something interesting how they line up and what they do at Atlanta. Uh, and it's a very short turnaround time also for Arsenal. They play City on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of City and Arsenal on Sunday, let's look at the game week 5 fixtures, Saurabh, and let's see how which games we can target, or which are the fixtures we can target in terms of FPL. So I'll just bring up the uh, fixture tick list here, and for those guys on audio, we will read them out, the ones we're discussing. So just a second. Yeah. So this is the game week 5 fixtures, and yeah. So sure. What stands out to you here? Any fixture that stands out to target? Because I think this is a week where there are not many great fixtures which you can target in terms of FPL. I think this will be another low scoring game week, but something that you can target, anything that stands out to you.
Yeah, it's mostly weak. I mean, not weak, but yeah, middling teams playing middling teams this week. But yeah, I would expect the Chelsea West Ham game and the Aston Villa Wolves game to be a bit high scoring. I mean, coming to the first West Ham and Chelsea, West Ham has been weak in defense. I mean, they are attacking, they're creating chances, but West Ham are conceding as well. I mean, when Moyes was there, their plan was to have a low block and then counter.
Yeah,
Lopetegui is not doing that. He's having a high line at times and conceding chances on the break. So we saw Duran's goal from the Ramsey assist in the first match, and then yeah, we saw Raul Jimenez get a chance.
yeah,
I mean, it was a good ball from Smith Rowe, but yeah, it could have been defended. So West Ham is not that strong defense like we would expect them at home. So Chelsea could nick in a few.
yeah. And you can say the same thing for Chelsea as well. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
good game for Jared Bowen or Kudus if you have him. Could be great differentials this week. Because Chelsea tend to concede. They should have conceded against Bournemouth as well. So yeah, good chance. I mean, yeah, good spot. That's a good game. Aston Villa Wolves, as you said, I think that will be again good game for Watkins. Do you think Watkins is a potential? We'll come on that later on in more detail, but I think Watkins might be a captaincy shout given Arsenal and City are playing each other, and two of the big assets in Haaland and Saka play each other.
You have
This
Salah right there sitting
Yeah,
in
but
Liverpool.
there are teams which are Haaland only teams, or those who don't have Salah and have Saka and Haaland. There are a lot of drafts out there like that. A lot of
Yeah,
people.
then Watkins is a fair shout.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
even 60 or 70 minutes against Wolves is good.
yes. That's what I was coming on to. So I think that's a great game. If you don't have Salah, I think Watkins is a great captaincy shout. Apart from that, Fulham Newcastle, I think this will be a KG 1-1 maybe.
Yeah,
Uh,
1-1 or a 1-0.
yeah,
Free con goal.
yeah.
Could be anything.
Not expecting much from this game. Leicester, Everton, again, same kind of teams. Maybe a 1-1, 2-2. You never know what will happen there. Uh, Liverpool, Bournemouth. This is one to keep an eye on in terms of FPL, and if you have Salah. So I think Salah is a captaincy lock, sure. What do you think?
Yes, Salah is the best captaincy shout for this week. I think everyone has been planning for Salah since game week one to have him when Arsenal and City are playing each other. So yeah, I
Do,
think it's a lock
do you
for me.
think you go as you can take a if you want to go differential you can go Trent Alexander-Arnold or Jota or Diaz as a captaincy shot there.
Uh, if you don't have Salah, Trent could be an option, but not Diaz. I won't go Diaz or Chota or Gakpo, even if he starts, because I mean they are a minutes risk. Salah, on the other hand, plays 90. So
Fair shot, fair shot. So Southampton, Ipswich again. I think you'll target if you have Ipswich players, start them. They can do well, uh, especially attackers if you have any. Spurs, Brentford. Sure. What are we expecting from this? This is going to be a very interesting match, I think.
Spurs at home, I mean they won't hold back. So after that, after their loss at home in the derby, and they would go a full on attack, and Brentford is good on the counter. We have seen it time again and again that be it Bumo or Visa or the combination of Tony and Bumo, they have always done good on the counter. So I think Brentford could score a few. Even we were talking about Bumo taking set pieces and Spurs being weak on set pieces. So I'm expecting an assist from Bumo. Since I have him, I would start him.
I think
Start
this will
him
be a
over someone like Rogers even.
yeah, yeah. Rogers, I think is questionable because again, Wolves. It's due for Rogers to give us a return, and I think he's feeling it himself as well because you see him play, and there's a little bit of desperation creeping in Rogers' game as well. And since Watkins has also started finishing his chances and started looking sharper, I think that takes Rogers' chances of getting an assist higher. Because if you
Assist.
remember against Arsenal, he did all he could. I mean, Rogers put it on a plate for Watkins
Yeah,
twice.
that was purely, I mean, Raya's masterclass. So
Yes, and so I don't know except in place of Rogers or not, but yeah, Spurs and Brentford I think is going to be the highest scoring game from this week. That is what I think. Crystal Palace, Man United, 2 kg
yeah,
attacks.
yeah.
So yeah,
So yeah, it could end in a 1-1 draw. Can be anything. I mean, they don't have good defense, but they do attack well. Both United and Crystal Palace at home can score, but yeah,
do you remember the last season, last
yeah,
or
United.
second last
Yeah,
game, 4-0 to Crystal Palace against United?
Crystal. But that
So
was different.
yeah, but that was
That was
Olise
different
there
team.
and all the things we talked about in the pod. So I think the difference we'll see this time around. It won't be a 4-0 game for sure, but yeah, expecting it to be a close match. Brighton Forest, Forest would be high on confidence from that result. Brighton, I think, again, they already have dropped points to Ipswich, and I don't think they'll be looking forward to drop any further points to Forest. I think Brighton will, at home, will attack them, and I think Forest, uh, I personally feel they'll set up pretty similar to how they played against Liverpool. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't expect uh, Nuno to go in all attack. So he would set up a deep block and then wait for Brighton to make a mistake, maybe counter. But yeah, Brighton do have a good back line. It could be I wouldn't expect it to be a very high scoring match. It could end up in a Brighton win. But yeah, Forest is not. I mean, we were expecting preseason Forest to roll over. It's not that team. It's a decent defense.
And then we go to City and Arsenal. You are an Arsenal fan. There's a discussion to be had at this point, and I'll bring it up. Haaland has been in the form of his life. Even in his first season, he didn't score 9 goals, 8 goals, 9 goals in the first
Yeah,
couple of game
I think
weeks.
The best was 7 goals
Yes.
in the first 4 game weeks that
Yeah.
he beat his own best this season.
So 9 goals already. Is there a trick we are missing, or do you think there should be more thought given to a Haaland captaincy? Because I think everybody is taking it for granted that Haaland against Arsenal, you don't give him the captain armband. But do you think there's a conversation to be had here? Because Haaland is in such a form that he can punish any team, I feel right now.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Haaland is fixture proof, but again, you're talking about Arsenal defense. Now with Rice back, with Haaland doesn't do very well against good centre backs. I mean, Saliba, Gabriel could hold him off. I mean, the aerial threat of Haaland goes away because of Saliba or Gabriel. Rice is a uh, good ball winner. So in that way, I mean, it wouldn't be impossible for Haaland to score a goal, but I don't expect Haaland to have a brace or a hat trick. I mean, against Arsenal, if it ends in a 3-2 and Haaland having a brace, that that would I mean blow my mind because I don't see this game going. I mean, I don't see a high score in this game.
No,
The
no,
previous two games in the
yeah,
last season were evident of that.
yeah. I think it won't be high scoring. That I think because both teams won't be that open at the back, and both of them will take a little pragmatic approach, I think. And I think we have seen in the past 2 seasons, it's not high scoring. So maybe a 1-0, maybe a 1-1, maybe a 0-0. I think those are the more uh, probable results. So even if you're captaining Haaland, or even if you're backing Haaland for a return, I think the ceiling is 1 goal. I don't think Haaland gets more than 1 goal. Anything other than that would be a complete outlier, uh, not something you'd predict at this point. So, would you captain a 1 goal ceiling player at this point, or when you can go for maybe a Watkins or a Salah? Well, that's a decision there. So, I think that's for the fixtures then. So, before we end this pod, why don't we why don't we have a fun differential pick for this week? Sure. If you had to pick one asset who would do well this game week, who would you pick?
It's difficult to digest. I would still pick the player that I have as my striker. That's Jackson
Oh my
because
God. That oh even as a Chelsea fan, I could not have in my wildest dream imagine Jackson. Oh God. I'll take some time to recover from this pick. Nicholas Jackson as Shourav's differential pick. If anybody is listening to this podcast out there, please trust him at your own peril and don't come back at us if that doesn't work out. And if it
so
does work out, probably next pod you'll not see me. I'll sit here with a clothes on my face. Can't show my face now. Being a Chelsea fan and underestimating Jackson. Oh God. Ah,
what's your pick?
I mentioned him a little while earlier. I think Liam Delap
Dilap.
is a very good pick. I am hot on him uh, this game week. I think if Isak doesn't play, he will be my 1 week punt because I plan to wildcard next week. So he's right there on the top of my list. I thought about DCL as well, but I have an image of Dominic Calvert-Lewin that I can't let go of, and he's another Jackson. I remember Chelsea getting linked to DCL in the summer, and I was like, no, oh no, God, please, I can't watch Chelsea with DCL and Jackson up top. But yeah, D Liam Delap, I think, is my differential for this week. So I think, Saurabh, that covers all the topics and bases that we wanted to cover this week. Only I think the Arsenal match and a couple of Carabao Cup games are there to be played, so keep an eye out on them. Any injuries, any team news, try to hold your transfers as late as possible after the pressers, preferably. And yeah, all the best for this week. This is all from us this week, and we'll see you again next week. We'll probably not be able to tell you when we'll come out with the pod, but we'll definitely come out with another pod next week. So uh, please, if you're listening to us on YouTube, as usual, please drop in a like, subscribe to our channel, and if you're listening to us on the any of the audio platforms, please follow us and leave us a rating. You can leave us a feedback as well, and we have our socials on X, Threads, and Instagram. The links are in our channel description and the description below in this video. So do drop us a follow. So we'll meet again next week. Till then, all of you, take care and see you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Good luck.